Today we're going to be doing year in review number 2. Why are we doing 2? Because when I did the first one, it was right at the end of the year in 2025, and we had more numbers that were trickling in. So now we have all the final numbers because, think about it, if somebody goes pending late November or even in December of 2025, they might not close until 2026 or at the very end of the year. So now we have all the numbers in, everything quantified. And I want to give you a little bit of an update. You know, many things stayed the same, and I'm going to just tell you right now that my summary is essentially the same as it was when I gave it to you about a month ago. But there are some things that are relevant and significant. This is going to be as it relates to Naples, Florida, and I think the one that we did was specific to the entirety of Southwest Florida, and then we did another one for Naples. So what I want to clean up today is Naples, especially if you're a Naples buyer. If you're a Naples buyer, you're interested in buying in Naples, Florida, all of these numbers matter to you. Why? Because it helps you make a better decision. So let's jump into this. It's not morning right now, it's afternoon, so I am on to water. All right, before we jump into these numbers, let me just give you a brief introduction. My name is Barrett Pastor, and I've been a real estate broker for about 27 years. So hopefully I'm coming to you from a place of knowledge and experience, and I can help you navigate all things Florida, real estate, terrain. My team and I cover the entire state of Florida. If you need any help, please don't hesitate to reach out. My phone number, my email, everything's down in the description box. And then also, I do offer consultations for anyone. If you're thinking about buying, but it's probably going to be another year or 2 or 3, and you just need somebody to talk to and work out the right place, the right area, what the pricing really looks like, get some questions answered, do a consultation. I offer those as well. Leave it right here and down in the description box. All right, we're going to jump into numbers here. So Naples year in review number 2. Let me clean some things up. So this is essentially, the numbers come in right at the same. I told you in the last video on Naples that overall closings were slightly up, and I think I said 2.8%. We rounded it to 3. It is 3%. So 7,986 closings in total in 2025. So good, solid number. And, you know, I would say that I think a lot of the things that affected the numbers in 2025, we had interest rates that were problematic, and now we're about a point and a quarter lower than we were. As of the filming of this video, we're sitting at about 6.18 with my best lenders. So that's about what we're sitting at on a 30-year fixed. Tariffs, let's talk about that for a second. What did the tariffs do? Did that have any direct effect on our Florida real estate at all? Yes and no. So yes, in the sense that buyers, especially foreign buyers, Canada, buyers from outside of the country, and even buyers from within the country, the tariffs affected everyone because their money was worth less. And also, even people, you know, Naples, I say this a lot, and the reality of Naples is that it's a second home, third home, fourth home market. Sorry, if you hear that yapping at me, that is my Bluetooth. Don't know how to turn that off, but it's annoying. Ignore it. Anyway, the tariffs affected how people spent money because you have to look at your scenario globally. So if you're paying more for everything across the board and you were somebody that had retired and saved and you were maybe looking at $350,000, which is kind of the cover charge to get into Naples, if you were looking at that and all of a sudden everything is more expensive. Your electric bill, your gas bill, your water bill, your insurance, like not just homeowners, but your car insurance, food. All of a sudden that budget gets really tight and you can't make a decision. But that said, things have improved a lot and there's a lot less instability in terms of what buyers think, how buyers are looking at moving to Florida. So let's get into a couple more numbers here. Let's talk about pending sales. So pending sales, this is really interesting. Pending sales in Naples, Florida, 2024 were 10,090 pending sales. 2025, 10,128, almost identical. Now, what's interesting, however, is the number of fall-throughs were higher in 2025. So we had a significant amount of fall-throughs. The difference is only about 1.3% from 2024 to 2025. But if you were in that fall-through, that affects your life a lot. When somebody says they're going to buy your house and then they don't, not a good thing. All right, so 2025 performed overall, all categories, slightly better than 2024. So let's talk about days on market, and this is identical to what I gave you before. In 2025, days on market, 94. But this is something I want you to know that I found to be really interesting. 2019, so pre-viral years, right before the viral years hit, so, which, remember when they used to call it COVID-19? Remember when the very beginning, first it was Corona, and then I think there was some branding issues there with the beer, the Mexican beer, I don't know. But remember how they called it COVID-19? Didn't you always wonder if the 19 stood for 2019? Because I kind of did, especially because I got so sick at the end of 2019 that I had to go to the urgent care. I couldn't breathe. I got that pneumonia thing, and I always wondered, but I digress. Let me just recap. 94 days on market, 2025, 97 days on market, 2019. So almost no difference. Let me give you inventory numbers. I think you'll also find this very interesting because remember, we got all of our full last quarter numbers in. So now we can, and that last quarter of 2025, it really pulled things up. Why? Because the market was and is improving. People feel more confident to buy. Are we still in a buyer's market? Yes, 100%. Is that buyer's market everywhere in every neighborhood in Naples? No, ma'am. Absolutely not. So back to normal inventory, I would say. 2025, 5,714 homes on market. 2019, because I know a lot of people care about that, 5,401. So what is that, 275 or so difference? Not enough really to get out of bed over. It just is not that different. So what does that tell us? How do we look at that? So what we have to look at based upon numbers, pure factual numbers, is that things are getting better. Things are starting to normalize. Somebody sent me, I always get these comments that I'm like, you're proving my point. Somebody sent me a comment, and I think they meant it to be kind of nasty, but to me it was just like, yeah, you're right on target. Somebody said, I'm going to mark this down right now, and I'm going to say that Barrett said this is the year that Naples stabilizes. Well, you know what? Yes, it is, and it does, and it has, and that is not my opinion. That is numbers. They are what they are, and that's why I update you when I get them. So what does that mean? Well, what that means to me is if you are a seller in Naples right now and you're on market, you need to be reasonable. Why do you need to be reasonable? Because there's a lot of homes on the market. There are many homes on the market. And if not your home, it's going to be somebody else's. And I say this to my sellers in Naples and other areas all the time. You have to be realistic about what you're doing with your pricing. Listen, it doesn't matter, okay? Nobody cares. Nobody cares that you put a new Moen faucet on your faucet. Nobody cares. I actually have people still take time to type out ceiling fans. Like, it's a given. You know what I mean? So you have to understand, you are going to need location or pricing. Sometimes you need both. So if your location is fantastic, you can probably hang on to some pretty strong pricing. Can you be ridiculous and embarrass yourself with a number that no one is ever going to give you? I mean, you can, but you're going to continue to own your house. But if you have a good location and everybody is priced at $900,000, but your location, you have all kinds of room, your house is on kind of angled in such a way that there's a lot of room behind houses, and you have the best long view of the lake and nobody else has that, can you price maybe 3%, 2% higher than everybody else? Yeah, probably. Buying Public will tell you if they agree with you on that. So it's either location or price. So if you're in a condo, 2 bedrooms and a den, 2 baths, 1 car garage, and there's 150 of them, all within your zip code, and essentially they're all almost identical, shotgun, typical condo, little caged area, you know what I'm talking about, and you price yours higher than everybody else, you're never going to sell. But if you price yourself 1 to 2% lower than everybody else, then you have a much better shot at selling where other people don't. I tell people all the time, a house will or won't sell. And by house, I mean house, condo, townhome, villa, doesn't matter. Price or condition. That's it. And sometimes both. So you have to look at that. Now, if you're a buyer targeting 2026, you really have to look at this right now, because I'm telling you, listen, it's just me. But what happens, real estate is cyclical. Real estate follows a pattern. If you're old enough to do it, go back 25 years. Real estate follows a pattern. So right now, we're in that dip. We're down there in that 1 to 3% little low point. So let's just do some numbers. At 500,000, we are talking about 1 to 3%, $5,000 to $15,000. That right there in that swing is probably the lowest it's going to sit. And then once we stabilize out here towards the end of season, what will happen is we'll get into the summer. Some people will fall away. The best ones will fall away during season. They will be the cherry-picked ones, the best location, the best aesthetics. And then what will remain on market are the properties that are, it's the heat of the summer, there's way less buyers in the marketplace. Those will be the leftovers that you might get that 15,000 number versus the 5,000 number. But once we roll through that and into shoulder season and we start towards the following season, I think you're going to see numbers slowly start to creep up. That's what I think is going to happen. I think we are in a stabilizing market right now, but then as a whole, we're going to start that swing upward again. Not like this. We don't want to see that, barring some crazy thing similar to what happened in 2020, the viral years. Aside from a run-up like that, I think we're going to start to see the walk-up. So if you know and you knew, and you are somebody that's been watching this for 2, 3, 4 years, and you're still watching it, let me tell you something, it's your time to get off the fence.